I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, July the 11th, brought to you in part by Performance Livestock Analytics, which is owned by its original co-founders right there in Osage, Iowa, farmer feeding country. Their team includes 40 individuals with a cattle feeding background. Their performance beef software will help you with feeding, herd health, inventory, and closeouts. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. CME feeder cattle futures up 11.77 this week so far. Now the live cattle futures have been up, but not as much as that. Superior's week in the Rockies has loved it. I mean, it couldn't have happened any better for them. But it's almost certain that your cattle futures will be lower on Friday. And Jimmy Folk, I can hear him giggling right now, because he says every time I predict the board it goes the other way, and it may, but I would assume there will be significant profit taking here on Friday after being up every day this week so far. The board was probably due to retreat on Thursday, but it couldn't resist going higher on the news that the Mexican border is being closed yet again by Secretary Rawlins. Your fed cattle market has not yet established, and that's another reason the board is likely to go down, as your packers are trying to buy cattle steady or cheaper, and they're having a hard time doing that. They've already given steady money for a few, but usually they can break the board on a Friday and kind of get things going their way. The basis will be very enticing to cattle feeders, especially in the southern plains. They're likely basis jumpers, and if they can get something pretty decent, especially if the board's down, they'll likely jump at it. But we've been going along really good. We've had a couple big specials this week. We've seen the highest prices ever paid for feeder cattle this week, and we could say that again next week. One of these weeks it's going to run out. We don't know when it's going to be, but right now we're sitting on a high. Like I said earlier, the Superior's week in the Rockies has been a blowout there. I picked out a sale that happened on Thursday I thought was pretty impressive. The Waits Ranch in Tryon, Nebraska sells 110 head of 410-pound little pee-wee home-raised Angus steer calves. They're for October delivery, not weaned, and they don't have too many bells and whistles, basically just shots and Angus and things like that. But 110 of them weighing 410 pounds bring $547.50, and that's pretty dangerous right there. $547.50, guys. But let's look at your board for Thursday. August live cattle futures were down 55 cents at 219.22. October was down 27 cents at 217.07. Your back months were mixed, down 55 cents to up 62 cents. August feeder cattle up 80 cents at 321.27, and that's 11.77 higher for the week. September up $1.20 at 321.22. Your back months on feeder cattle up 22 cents to up $1.10. These grains are really getting cheap here, and everybody you talk to says that in the Corn Belt, the corn has never looked so good. I mean, talk about bumper crop. It's just looked excellent, and we're getting closer and closer to harvest time, and this corn is really getting down there pretty cheap. It was up a penny on Thursday for December new crop corn at $4.16.5, but man, that's not much for those guys. Beans for November up 6.5 cents a bushel at 10.13 3/4. Hard red winter wheat for September up 10 3/4 cents at 5.34 3/4. Now your fat cattle trade, we still have not seen significant trade on a direct basis negotiated in the 5-area feeding region. It's just been a little deal here, a load there, a couple hundred there. I mean, just nothing. We have not established a price. Like I said earlier, we have so far traded near the top of last week's price range, which sounds pretty good. But we need to see the gate swing to see whether or not we're going to establish a price there. In Iowa on Thursday, they sold 850 head. They've only sold 1,000 head negotiated cash in Iowa this week so far. The price on Thursday was just like it was earlier in the week at $235, the top of last week's price range, and dress sales at $372. I did hear through private sources that there was some $380 negotiated dress trade in Iowa late on Thursday, probably to a regional packer, but that's still significant, guys. Nebraska sold 250 head. They've only sold about a load more than that for the whole week, which is nothing. Nebraska's live price on Thursday was $232 and dress price at $370. Kansas didn't sell a thing on Thursday. They did sell those 1,100 head earlier in the week, steady with last week. Texas hasn't sold a hoof either. Did have a fat cattle auction. It's Kelowna Sales Barn, DVAuction broadcaster there. They have a good fat cattle auction every week. They had 1,000 head on Thursday there. No trend because didn't have it reported for a while, and it was due to the holiday. But conventional fed cattle sold from 234 to 248. That 248 would sure sound good for the direct negotiated trade, but you can only get that in a competitive auction market. Holstein steers had a good sizable amount of those, bring 212 to 226.50, which I thought was pretty good for Holsteins. Cows, slaughter cows selling from 148 to 172.50. High dressing cows up to 176. Feeding cows up to 185. A lot of guys are thinking, hey, these feeder cattle are too high. I'm going to buy some thin cows to feed. But the lightweight feeder cows, and some of those are going to try to be rebred, we're selling up to 225 there in Kelowna, Iowa. Box beef cutout values were down on Thursday, but not nearly as much as they were Wednesday. But choice cuts 384.66 down 179. Selects down 241 at 370.86. Your slaughter through the first 4 days of the week, estimated cattle slaughter 464,000 head. That's 8,000 less than this point last week and 15,000 less than this point the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services, they are your LRP specialists, guys. Dakota Moss there in Oklahoma City and in the exchange building there at the stockyards. All these other agents that work with him, they've all got extensive experience in the industry. This market has been rising for about 3 years now. It's been fun, but soon it's bound to start retreating. And you better be protected. You better think about getting an LRP on your unborn calves, on your cattle that you're going to turn out, your cattle you're going to feed. If you're unsure about it, check him out at livestockriskservices.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index after your Thursday sales had all concluded, sitting at 319.98, down 60 cents. CME cash feeder cattle index is fully caught up with the addition of those Bassett sales in there that were all-time record highs. It was sitting at 321.84, up another $5 on Thursday. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas had 2,100 head of feeder cattle. That's their first sale back from their harvest break there that they always take this time of year. But it was a really good sale. It was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard livestock equipment. Stick out sale of the day. Check out this automated marker report through Cattle Market Central and look at your best tested weights there. 183 head of 6-weight steers averaged 642 at 369.47. 253 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 753 at 340.64. They just had 110 8-weight steers averaged 844 at 314.95. But 242 head of 9-weight steers in Salina, Kansas averaged 963 at 292.77. Look at some heifers. 106 head of 5-weight heifers averaged 549 at 362.89. 217 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 658 at 333.01. 252 head of the 7-weight heifers averaged 767 at 308.62. And 112 head of 8-weight feeder heifers in Salina, Kansas at Farmers and Ranchers Livestock averaged 833 pounds with a weighted average price of $289.08. Several individual quotes to give you that were impressive from all around the circuit. I want to tell you about Maryville Livestock Auction in Maryville, Missouri. That is extreme northwest Missouri. Now, one of my best friends, Mike Frieden, an old St. Joe stockyard guy, found a home up there in Maryville, works up there a couple days a week, and he commissions cattle into Maryville, and he commissions his own cattle. He and I are good friends, traded around a lot over the years at St. Joe Stockyards. He hit a home run. I mean, he swung for the fences and hit it right on the sweet spot. He puts these cattle together himself, buys them, backgrounds them himself, does everything himself, with the exception of maybe a little help on a hot day from old Bush. He helps him count them and get the weight right on them. But man, did Mike Frieden hit a home run. He sold 60 head of 960-pound steers at $310 a pound. Wow, congratulations, buddy. How about Beaver Head Livestock Auction in Dillon, Montana? 89 head of steers weighed 487 and bring 472 out there in rural Montana, guys. Stick out sale from Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas was 60 head of steers weighed 713, bring 370. That's getting up there. How about Mitchell Livestock Marketing in Mitchell, South Dakota? 61 head of 923-pound steers bring 3 1/4. It doesn't seem like that long ago you couldn't get 325 for a light 8-weight steer. Now you got 9 1/4 weight steers bring 325. But that's not the most impressive. The most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky. Think about this. In the ring in Kentucky, put wheels under them, 59 head of 838-pound steers bring 334 in Stanford, Kentucky. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.